Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 29th episode of Concerned Dabs podcast. I am your host, Katie M. King. With me is my co host, Will Terps.
How's it going, y'all?
And tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, we have Sahson Dehkordi from Sweet
Thank
Life
you for having
Distro.
me.
Yeah, man. It's I'm glad you said yes, bro. It's been a long time since I've seen you and talked to you. I'm really excited to hear what you got going on, man, and your story
Likewise,
thus far.
likewise.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and skip the Will and I intro since we're all right here right now. How's it been
Yep.
going, man? Like what's up with Sweet Life Distro?
I mean, we've actually been doing a lot of things. We actually just came off this our first Canna Academy event that they've been putting together, and I think they're going to move forward to doing every quarter. And it's like a bud tender, or educational, but not just for bud tenders. Anybody that works for the dispensaries, really. But just
Yeah.
to get a better idea of products and get them in front of the manufacturer, basically. So we represent a handful of companies, probably close to 20 like packaged products and or farms.
Okay.
And sometimes it's good to see like the actual manufacturer and see, well, the people that are passionate behind their product, not just the people selling it, but the people actually making it that came up with these ideas.
Yeah.
So we had about 100 people from the Portland metro area come around, a handful of people from like Salem, Albany area, a handful of shops from Bend came
Tight.
for like this 4 hour informal thing. It was really cool. They got basically like a report card. It went around, asked questions, and then like the companies like signed off like a little report card. We fed them lunch. They got like a gift box. It was in like a middle metal lunchbox tin, like an old
Tight.
school lunchbox. It was kind of cool. It was
Tight.
all absolutely free. They didn't have to pay for anything. They just signed up on. But
Super
I think it was really
dope.
good. It was good, and there was a lot of like good interaction between other shops that like making friendships. You saw people talking and comparing things. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I like stuff like that. It's good to educate people, especially if they're new, because there is no class or
Well,
academy. So that's dope.
the the products are always changing, and like things are developing so fast. And with everything out there, it's kind of hard to just like kind of stay up on stuff like that. I think every professional field needs or has things like that, right? So it's
Yeah,
really fun to go to things and get like stoned and like get free shit and like hang out, but it's also good to like learn and have interaction with things like that.
I
Doctors do it. Yeah, insurance salesmen do that. I
yeah,
think every industry has something along the lines like that. And I think it shows that we're not just about going out and just selling products. And we can educate people on the product, they're going to be able to then sell more products to that. And it's like a daisy chain effect. Is kind of
I
like how I see it.
I agree. Okay, so I got a correction from my guy Mitch in production. Thank you, Mitchell. I forgot to really intro Sasan. Um, I wanted to. Can I tell everybody how I met you? Is that okay if we backtrack a little bit and then go back to what you guys got?
Oh yeah, man, let's do it. Come on.
Okay, okay, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was managing this dispensary called the Farm Shop, and it was on Barber. Nectar ended up buying them out, and while I was working at the farm, Sasan came through. He said, "What's up?" and he grabbed some nugs, and he gave me his card. And he was the intake and inventory guy down the street at Human Collect. So I was like, okay, cool. So when they got bought out by Nectar, everybody got let go. They kept like two people. So I started applying for jobs and I ended up getting the job at Human Collective as the intake and inventory guy. I met a dude who worked here, man. What's up? They're like, yeah, he left. You got his job. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, where did he go? And the the management was just like, I don't know, he got some property in Vernonia, so he's like, fuck this job, I'm growing some weed. Hell yeah, dude. I was like, hell yeah, that's tight. You know what I mean? I can't wait to run into him again. And then the next time I ran into you, it was like it was Dope Cup, I think. And the fucking line was like around the block. It was down there on Burnside. And I was there with my lady and shit. And we were just standing in line. And then I noticed who was standing in line in front of me. It was you, man. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Sahson. He's like, dude, do you want some seeds? And you had like the rainy days. You had some seeds, and you hooked
Yeah,
me up
yeah,
with.
that was all my medical stuff.
Yeah, dude. I was like, thanks, dude. And then I swear to God, like, you got a text or something, and you're like, dude, let's go to the front of the line. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what? He's like, let's go. You know what I mean? And we ran to the front of the line and we walked right through, dude.
the
It was
fucking hate
super
line.
dope. Yeah, dude. I was like, fuck yeah. It was so dope. And then the next time I ran into you after that was my guy Sweeney. Shout out to Sweeney with the casher. He had a harvest party there at his shop there on it's right off a Barber too. It's like little south of there at that
It is right
Swan
off of
Mart.
Corbett.
Corbett, yeah, by south of Swan Mart there, right underneath there.
You want to hear a funny story about that building?
What's up?
So that building is owned by my kids' grandparents.
Wow. On your so your lady's parents, your in-law?
Yeah, no, my daughter's my daughter's mom, my ex-wife, but like her
Okay.
grandparents own like a bunch of property over there. That used to be a sailboat shop. And then when I went to that party, it was like cash, and I was familiar with the company, but like I showed up there with Goliath Glass, and I was like, "What the fuck? I've been here before." But
Yeah, that's dope, man. And
ugh.
and then when I saw you there, I was like, dude, what's up? You know what I mean? Because I was like, man, how's it going in Vernonia? This and that. And you were just, man, I jobbed up. And I'm like, what? And you're like, man, all the free swag on the tables you see, like that's the company I work for right now. I'm like, damn. And you were just talking about how much investment they have. I was like, man, it's like David and Goliath, and I don't really have a stone to throw or anything. It's
I
like,
mean, yeah, I mean, like so when I was with Human Collective and stuff, and we're backtracking. This is before rec was even voted in.
yeah,
So medical days was cool, and that was like a wild west.
yeah,
And now we're just in the west. It's just not so much wild.
yeah,
Um, but I had to like really look at it. If I could get, getting the money to invest like, $100,000, $200,000 into like a small grow, that's not something that really was concerning. The concerning part is then like losing $300,000 and not having anything to show for it, and then being in
yeah,
debt, and then being like, okay, what do you? So
yeah,
instead of trying to like really hustle and bustle that route, there was a short period of time where I thought I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna have like a rec grow, do all this stuff, but it didn't solidify.
yeah.
But
Same, bro.
I was
Same.
fortunate enough to then just kind of use my skill set, because I had already been selling and distributing my own products for like 2 years throughout the state. I went
Yeah,
to go work for Ryan and Kevin Walsh, who had the CO2 company, who I also met while I was working at Human Collective, because
tight.
they were just two brothers slinging vape pens out of their car.
Yeah,
And so I was able to do that, and since then I've been doing distribution pretty consistently. So,
that's dope,
but
man. Do you still have the
it's just
property in Vernonia? Like, do you do the medical
my
limit
parents still
still?
live on my parents have that. They have the 30 acres out there. It's the property that I was able to grow on. My parents,
Oh,
they own
okay.
a bunch of farmland out there and a bunch of parcels.
That's tight.
Yeah, and then I had rented a house out there on 100 acres too.
Dope,
Yeah.
dope. Man, yeah, when I saw you at the harvest party at the cashier function, like I was like heartbroken, like, oh, because I was still like, the dream was still alive for me. And I was just like, man,
Hey, the dream's
and I'm
still
like,
alive for all of us.
yeah. And I held out for one more year, and then it was like, fuck, the packs are so cheap now. Like, this is not even worth it. Like, I can't give this shit away. Like, it's everywhere.
Well, and that's the thing, is like I'm super glad that I could look at a time and I sold weed like 2014, light dep crops, $2,400.
Yeah.
People aren't getting $2,400 for light up weed.
Fuck no, dude. You know what I mean? That's how everybody's got machines and shit now too. It's how you gonna pay your trimmers fucking 100 or 200 bucks a pound when you're fucking only selling them for fucking 600 to 800 bucks a.
It's because you just have to have a workforce now. You just get
Yeah,
people just do manufacturing work. I mean, there's a whole industry of people that will do manual between, 11 and $15, and sitting down and trimming weed is a lot easier than picking up roof shingles or actual harvesting
yeah,
or digging a ditch, cutting firewood, setting chokers
yeah,
for logging, all in the same pay rate. Like, yeah, dude, sign me up. Let me trim some weed. Like, I'm going to get paid. And there's probably a good chance if I work here long enough, there's probably benefits of like free weed.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, no doubt. It's interesting to hear that perspective too, because whenever I see jobs, I'm like, it's not enough. To hear you tell, it's like, what are you doing? It's like you're working a pair of scissors, fucker. It's not illegal anymore. So,
Yeah, I mean,
There's scissors.
like what do you want? You want fucking 20 an hour for that? Like, dude, you
Well,
better you better be fast. You better be a fucking robot if you want.
yeah, and like I can see how that's like probably that got a fast hand, but like for me, like I trim on the more like slower, cautious side, trying to do it more more proper. And in today's market, I feel like people get out, or or at least like for me, like trimming by weight would be hell. I would be like, I'd make like $200 every like 3 days or some shit.
Yeah. I could do a pack in like 4 hours just because
Yeah,
I had to do it myself. And like it's like when somebody was faster than me, I'd fucking give them extra. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah,
there was a girl. Shout out to Sequoia if she is listening. That girl's a fucking robot, dude.
hey,
Me
shout
and
out
my
to all the trimmers, real though, because like I would
yeah,
die if I had to trim right now.
yeah,
So
dude,
for
yeah,
real, if you're out there and you trim, keep that up because we all had to do it.
yeah.
yeah, man. It's not that much fun. Super robotic movements for the whole time you're.
Hey, I've seen some people though. I've seen some people trim up 2 pounds in a day, like a grease farm.
Yeah, man. Like that's
The resin ranchers, they're like resin ranchers had a guy that could trim like God. I think he said he trimmed like 3 pounds in a day or something.
yeah,
Three
that's how
pounds.
man, that's Sequoia too. You know what I mean? Like we'd get
Holy
to 8
fuck!
hours. We'd get to 8 hours. I'd be like, "Yo, chill." She'd be like,
Yeah, yo, chill.
and
Yeah,
she'd be like, "Nah, I'm gonna get 3 done." You know what I mean? I'm gonna get done with
yeah.
3.
Like
And
I don't
I'm
got,
Because
just
then
si-
like,
at that
I
point,
don't
I
got
mean,
600.
if you have, then that's like this is
Wait,
not. It's not even a like super rare scenario, but like with the resin ranchers, dude. I mean, imagine like like you got some material paying people a few hundred, I don't know what's the rate, 200, 250 per pound, and the dude just mows out 3 pounds or a little over 3 pounds one day, and you're like, what the fuck?
yeah,
I gotta cash you out like $700 or
yeah,
more.
yeah, but how many days are you working too? Can you do that 2 or 3 days a week?
Right? Yeah, true. If you
yeah,
can cut down the trim time and even, make it so, I don't know, you need less trimmers or he or she, um, geez.
yeah. Like that's in Seattle. That's how I got my farmers market retail gig up there. Is I was trimming. Shout out to Lamont. He's the guy who took me up there. And my aunt, you know what I mean? He introduced me, and it was just like he hadn't seen me since I was a kid, and it was just like, well, here's the job, and I'd done it before on my own crop, so I was on the second day I got 2 done. So he was just like, all right, I'm gonna call you next time we take down. And then after that second time I trimmed, he was just like, yo, I don't have too many guys on my crew. If you can make it up on the weekends, you could work the booth at the farmers market. I'm like, shit, yeah, man. I mean, being fast and doing efficient work helped me move up too. So I can't hate on that job. It's just like
Yeah.
I don't want to do it anymore.
So
Yeah.
along the lines of trimming,
Yeah.
another difficult job in cannabis would be gramming out any oil.
Fuck yeah, dude. I
Packaging,
swear to
yeah.
Yeah.
God, dude. Yeah. If you get a slab from anyone, I hope to God people buy ounces, bro. You know what I mean? Because it's
Especially something like live resin or like hash rosin.
Yeah.
fuck yeah, man.
That'd be
Anything
hell.
saucy. Anything
Yeah,
like
anything saucy or
like
just like
this.
sticky. Like, oh
It's
my
like
god, that'd be
in my head when
moving
I'm
around.
doing it,
How to
I'm
do
like,
that?
I wish I had a fucking walk-in freezer with a table that I could just sit in and fucking gram this shit out so it's
Yeah,
fucking
but
cold the whole.
here's the thing: depending on the consistency, at least in my experience, it doesn't necessarily. I mean, in most cases, it does make it easy. Not like, for example, like if you have like a shatter, like a shatter in like super cold environment, and then you're packaging, that's hell. You're
Yeah.
gonna break that into a million pieces. And I think most people are, cautious of that. They know not to like package that in like super cold um conditions, but also like I don't know.
My kitchen floor would concur, Will.
Yeah, dead. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, too
Serious.
like sauce, I feel like would be, easier done in cold environments, but at the same time, like, would it like if you had it super cold, would it like, I don't know, dry up, not dry up, but like, saturate, further saturate some of the terpenes, and I don't know. It's
You're
just
also
like
like, is that a good work environment to sit around in a refrigerator?
Yeah, it's
definitely.
cold,
And you're only
man.
and remember the pay is the same as the trim.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But on
Yeah.
that same side, like you could be working in a slaughterhouse in a refrigerator making the same amount.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
wish there was it's probably it is a super hard test, I would imagine, but I wish like that people, I don't know, there was a test that could evaluate like when someone, like, say I open a fresh gram of rosin, and I dab it, and then I put it back in the fridge, I dab a bit out of it the next day, I keep doing that for a few days, and like, almost like just like test a small sample of it each day to see like how much how much loss of terpenes or cannabinoids actually occurs, if any.
Every time you open it.
Every time you open it, or every day, you're smoking on it. I don't know. I'd just be interested to see that.
Your
Maybe
maximum
maybe it
your
would be
maximum freshness. So
it could be very minimal in it, but oh my god,
Yeah.
the deadly black screen.
you guys can still see us.
Yep.
Yeah, man, your video is working
Well,
okay, according
Cool.
to
Yeah,
me.
my computer's on one.
Mitchell says yes too. So yeah,
Cool. Okay, just bear with us here. We on
yeah.
the deadly black screen. Oh, there we go.
we're back.
We're back.
Okay, cool, cool, man, cool. All right, all right. So we're 18 minutes in. Shit. Okay, so you were talking about the different companies that you represent. So some,
Oh yeah, we were.
um,
I mean, just a couple of them off the bat. Like Canna Honey, Ex Cola Farms, uh, Puffco.
Puffco. I've
We
seen their
distribute
ads in the
Puffco.
magazine.
Urban Farms, which is our parent company farm.
Who is Urban Farms?
Urban Farm is our owners, Joyce and George. They have Urban Farms and they have Sweet Life Distribution. Both we distribute 100% of all Urban Farms product, and they're down in Southern Oregon, beautiful Rogue Valley. But we distribute a handful of farms, and it's always evolving of whose products we're selling.
Yeah,
But we have a handful of stable. We all immerse provisions, so legal drinks, and their giant shots,
I
their
remember
legal
legal.
lemonades.
Yeah.
Companies
How
like Tasties,
how
they do.
heavy are legals now?
There's all 50 milligrams. They have They have a 1-to-1 ratio, like this cranberry that's pretty bomb. Um, I just recently started drinking their giant shots, and I have this like 4-to-1 is like a it's like a tangy like apple juice like
Damn.
shot, but
And
they're
it's
more
50,
natural,
50 milligrams.
naturally infused, I guess, versus like without what is they use agave instead of like corn syrup.
That's dope.
And if you look at product, corn syrup actually blocks your cannabinoid receptors.
No way.
Yeah, so when you're eating like artificial stuff like that and like gummies, like a lot of that stuff when you're processing, if it has a bunch of artificial flavors and sugars like corn syrup and dyes, that stuff
Yeah.
actually blocks the effectiveness and like you actually don't get as so that's why you're eating all of them.
Damn.
Um,
That's good info, man.
an edible on the market that I've eaten, I really like those. I don't even remember who makes them. They're like the crop circles.
Oh yeah, the crop circle chocolates.
Yeah,
So dank.
they're super dank and they're like 50 milligrams, but they hit you super hard. Where like I've eaten like 100 milligrams of like a gummy or something, where like I don't even feel like half as effective.
Yeah, they're super unique in the fact that strain specific edibles, and they also do it from keef. They have like a crazy like keef machine. Like we recently visited their spot to check out how they do their operations, and yeah, they have a cool ass like keef machine that they do to make all their like um the material that they use for their chocolates, and also watched a very expensive chocolate machine, like pretty much the baseline model that you can get in a chocolate machine operate, which was awesome. And it was kind of like a smaller machine. I think I don't know how they like rate how fast or how many chocolates they do, but it was like, I don't know, maybe like
How many chocolate bars?
50 chocolates a minute or something like that. But it was basically like the baseline model they sold, $30,000 machine, and they had to get trained on it by their friend who was another chocolatier from another company in Portland. I'm spacing on, but yeah, it was really cool.
I
And
saw those posts that when you guys visited from Natural Wonders. But so they make their chocolates with
it's keef. It's from flour. They basically like keef either bud or trim or whatever. They try and choose the best material available from a few different farms, but they keef it and then they use that to medicate their chocolates. And they do have some like 50, they have some medical doses like 50 milligrams each truffle, 2 truffles. The ones we carry I don't think we have any more of it right now, but we used to carry a variety pack of like 5-10 milligram truffles from them, different flavors. Now we carry like a few different flavors of like the 22 truffles, 25 milligrams each,
that's tight.
which are awesome. But yeah, it's a super cool company, and to see a like a professional chocolate machine being utilized for cannabis truffle production is fucking awesome.
Yeah, man. Their shit looks hella cool in the box too. They're all cool shaped and everything.
Yeah, the packaging is on point. I mean, the two people that are behind it are really awesome. I had no idea who was operating it, and met them recently. They're in a small little kitchen in Southeast that houses even another uh, I think actually two more licensed OLCC edible companies. I won't say who, but it's
That's
pretty
tight.
crazy.
So they share the same
One of the
strain.
only models of that, I will say, it's literally they share the kitchen. They produce their chocolates in with another edible company or two,
That's
which
dope.
is
That
awesome
that
because
probably saves on costs a lot, man.
yeah, it's awesome, and it's also not cool. It's awesome in the sense that they all can work together in that space to save money and be able to cut costs. And it's also not awesome in the sense that they have to do that type of shit. Edible companies like, small
Yeah.
time edible companies that want to do things really like,
There's a bunch of
like,
companies out there that have to share space or work under the same umbrella because
yeah,
they don't have the
Yeah.
marketing or sales power, but they all have like products.
yeah, there is absolutely. But yeah, it's just it's unfortunate, and yeah,
Let's talk about how many edibles there are. Me personally, I didn't think it was going to take off as big as it did.
there's
Okay.
a ton of edibles.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot.
And
It's
that
almost
it almost seems like edibles are like the market is kind of steady in Oregon right now. I wouldn't say it's like super great for flower or anything really. You would know better being on the sales side.
now, flour, here's the thing about flour. Your flour is always going to sell, and that's always going to be like your bread and butter.
yeah.
And every shop has their different kind of clientele. Me personally, I've never seen somebody walk into a shop and not they either know that they want to have like the best top shelf, right? And now the best doesn't mean the most expensive necessarily, but there's that range, right? There's always going to be like those 4 or 5 choices in the store, like that's the best.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be like those super lows, like those $2 to $4 grams that people buy. But nobody ever walks in the store like, what's your most mediocre weed? Like,
Yeah,
what's your
yeah,
mid-range stuff?
yeah. No, no.
No, it's like they either like have the money, and that's what I see on flour. And now we're just talking about margins, right? So shops are always going to sell weed.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, like a shop that takes in a pound for $1,000, they're going to make more money on a pound that they bring in for $1,500. You're gonna make more money, right?
Yeah.
Because your margins are the same, but you're actually gonna make more money, right? And if you sell only that much amount of weed and you don't sell the cheap weed, you're only making you're then setting up your clients for that like whatever you're gonna sell. I don't know the word. I'm a little stoned right now on a Sunday night, so you gotta forgive me. But that's not necessarily a bad market to say, hey, I'm only gonna sell cheap weed either.
Yeah.
Because you got Winco that you can get stuff like pretty much cheaper than everybody else that's always busy.
Yeah.
But you also see Whole Foods not going out of business soon either.
Yeah.
So you
Man,
go there and you buy like 2 waters and an orange, it's $47.
man, dude, yeah, serious. Like in Seattle, my unc had top shelf indoor, bro. Like his game was tight. I really learned a lot from and in that farmers market there was 40 other tables. So it was competitive as shit. And there was at least two or three of them that just had fucking bammer ass outdoor, you know what I mean? Multiple like 10, 20 different flavors for $120 ounces, and our zips were like 280. You know what I mean? It's like if somebody bought two, I'd let it go for 5. I would do like a queue for 8 or
Yeah.
9, you know what I mean? And it would just people knew. Like I would go just to see what was up, and they had lab tests and shit too, and they had like splits on indica and sativa like 40 and 60% or 30/70. I'm just that's cool, their menu looked dope, but our weed was just fire. And so it was we were like the Whole Foods in that building, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I think that that's good. And there's the market. It is finding what your clientele is because you can't sell like concentrates is like the same thing as you're not going to find. You can find some shops that carry a super array, right? You take a shop like Americana, like you can find stuff across the spectrum for flour, edibles, concentrates, and everything in between. Like, it surprises me every time I go in there. I'm like, how can you stack so much stuff into here? But they do it. Awesome.
Yeah.
But I also go to shops that are like they have like 4 things, or like they sell out of things all the time. They're like, yeah, we're just waiting. Like you
Yeah.
don't. You're telling me like you only had the white label sugar sauces, and that was your own. That was it. Because when you walk in and you don't have it, you don't have anything else to replace it or that's like close to it, right? So what are you going to
Yeah.
sell if I'm out of that? If you're out of a SKU, you should be able to sell something else, right? I'll
Yeah.
sell something else. And I think some shops like lose sight of that,
Yeah,
you know.
dude.
And it's
It's
like
like,
with the weed
yeah.
too. If you focus on only selling this, you can't kind of market throughout like your own or be able to fill in those gaps because you don't get all your product in one day. And you
Yeah.
always, you know, you're not trying to just push the same thing every day. You want to have that variety.
I
You know, you want to
agree.
be always ever evolving because people don't like you. I mean, as a smoker myself, I don't like to smoke the same thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah, no,
I gotta change it up.
yeah, I
yeah.
agree with that
Yeah.
completely, and no disrespect to the people on budget or people with certain prices in mind, but
My price point stays the same. I just want to change it. You know, I want to change what I'm getting for my price point.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And certain people too, as a bud tender, they would come in looking for a certain strain. Like they wanted Jack Cur- and I'm like, okay, we don't have that specifically, but we have this that's related to it. We got this Cracker Jack, or you know what I mean? Something else that was bred with that strain, and they would be happy with that. And I'm like, similar but different. So your receptors should
Totally.
receive it a little bit better, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, definitely.
Yeah. I actually last night was having a conversation with a guy at this Halloween party. Um, he was telling me because people ask me what I do, and I'm like, oh, what do you sell? Because it was like if you just talk about weed, then everybody's like, oh, you sell weed, that's so cool. But it's just a product at the end of the day. It's just a
Yeah.
consumable.
Yep.
And he goes on, it's like, yeah, I try to buy an ounce of weed every week. And he's like, I like sativas that are more on the lighter green side and around the $100 mark. He's like, I don't like buying the $60 stuff because that's just not as good. He's like, but I don't like to spend more than like 115, 120 if I don't like to. And it
Word.
was like, I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, and he's like, now the shop I can't remember the name of the shop that he went to, but he's like, they know me. And the same kind of thing that you were talking about, they've already like pre-done it. It was like, yeah, you probably like this. Right. So they're
Word.
taking a step out of it, right? And that's good, as like a customer, I'm like, cool. I'm not then they're already making the choice for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're confident, like you were just saying, like that, you not have had Jack, but here's like a cross or something that's like similar.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm gonna take you on that. If I'm buying my weed from you every day, I'm good with that.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Yeah,
Like,
and with
yeah,
cannabis, people are super loyal about like where they buy it.
yeah. I in at Kings of Canna out there in North Portland. It was right next to Pog Noi on like 11th and Prescott. I would see the
Yeah.
same people every week, and it was a joy to build relationships with. And then same thing at Natural Wonders. We'd get a lot of local employees too, and it was always cool to see them on their lunch break. Because we would go and eat places and be like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" We'd see them working, and
Are you
they
still at
they
the
would
shop?
Yeah.
no, oh wait, Will Terps is. Will
Yep.
Terps
Yeah,
is still in there.
I was gonna ask you, have you seen do you have customers that used to were shopping with you? Have they now returned like, yay, you guys are back?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Does that make you guys feel good, or like do
Oh yeah.
you feel personal enjoyment versus like just as like a company? You're like, you
Yeah.
get so good
Yeah.
with that?
Definitely.
Yeah, see?
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's something that's something that like is transcended for cannabis, like, or loyalty, which is cool,
I
because
agree.
if the 7-Eleven closes next door, I don't really give a shit. Like, I'm just going to go to Platt,
Yeah,
to be quite honest.
no
But
doubt.
with cannabis, I think it's like a little bit different. It's because
Yeah,
of like that marketability and like those choices that you have, right? Like,
yeah,
your favorite restaurant closes down, you're like, oh, I just can't go to the next restaurant because like that's not as good.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. God damn
Yeah, but
it.
you see Popeyes drop on Sunday.
Oh
They brought the
no, they got.
chicken sandwich back on a Sunday.
Damn, we got that. Well, we're it's yeah. I I I gotta try that because I didn't try it the last time it came
Yeah.
around. So I'm
Now you
I'm
can
a,
get it 7 days a week.
yeah, I'm a pretty big I'm a pretty big chicken sandy guy. I eat chicken sandies often. Shit, dude. So can I refer to the talking points now since we're like half hour?
Perfect timing.
Um, what do we got? Okay. So prices fluctuations, average prices changing, and actual sales data to back it up. Business side of things. Can we talk
Oh
about
yeah.
that? Like the price of packs, because you represent more than one farm, right? And it's indoor and outdoor.
Yeah,
Like,
indoor, outdoor. Yeah, and we use that. We actually use market data that farms and other distribution companies submit data to weekly,
that's
and
tight.
we get that, like, that average price, and we use that, as a sales tool. And
Yeah,
any commodity, especially agriculturally, you have to look at that, right? Because I can't walk into a shop as a salesperson and people are like, "Oh, I'm getting pounds for $600." Like, well, cool, man. Well, you sometimes people just throw out a number when it becomes sales, whether it's cannabis, car,
yeah,
buying a TV. People will always try to undercut. That's just like
yeah,
sales,
yeah.
right? And you can't take that personally. It's just a job. Like, all right, well, let's find some happy medium.
Capping
You
for a
know,
cheaper price.
yeah, right. Like, let's find middle ground on something. And with flour, it's finicky, right? Because if you sell flour long enough to somebody, people don't care. I have one of my people that works for the company's worked there for a while. I've asked him for like just like ins and outs on different products that we do sell, and he has customers that literally he'll just bring 5 pounds to, and they like don't even open it. He's like, "You've never steered me wrong." So like they just take it sight unseen, you know.
Wow.
And I have customers like that too. But when I first get into that, I'm like, man, you look at that, I'm like, as a weed smoker again, I'm like, I don't know if I would ever buy weed.
Yeah,
In a black bag sealed.
Mhm.
yeah,
Like, here's
Yeah.
here's 10 grand. I'm not even gonna look at it.
yeah. I don't. Yeah,
Oh
me
yeah.
neither. I want to crack it. I want to
No,
smell
but
it, man.
I
Yeah.
used to buy that, but that was back on the East Coast when I had no option, pretty much.
on the flip side of that, how would that make you feel though, if somebody trusts you that much that they are like they're just gonna take you on that, right? Like, hey,
Yeah. Well, yeah. It would make me want to be really, really honest.
yeah,
Um,
right. And so
and
that's where
and
that
it, and if I
that's what
had issues, I would hand them a stack or two back. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, AC didn't kick on. It got hot this weekend. Shit's kind of stringy.
yeah.
The test was like 3 or 4% less because of it. It's still nice, still smells the same. It's just it's not the same. So here's a little bit
Yeah.
back.
And that's where like that sales data is like a thing too, to come and like kind of back that stuff up, because it's hard to argue that, right? So if pounds of, like, indoor pounds are selling for X amount of dollars, it's really hard to like argue, be like, I want to pay $300 less. I would love to always, I want to try to make my customers happy, right? But we're all in the means of trying to make money.
Okay.
And you know, with any sales, goes up and down. Now you take
Yeah.
last year, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shops
Cause yeah.
shops where the they profited the most on like this huge flood of weed. Now maybe this year it might be a little bit different, because a lot of farms last year took their cannabis profits and then turned that money and invested into hemp.
Yeah.
Well, that means X amount of weed is being less grown. So hopefully, that profit will go up, or the price per pound will go up.
Yeah, and they stopped giving out production licenses too, right?
I think they've stopped, or they've kind of, halted. They have so many like backlogs that I think they take more precedence on people like renewing their licenses
Yeah.
for for the upcoming years versus like issuing new.
Yeah, dude. Cause and then there still has to be old pounds sitting from last year and the year before. There has to be pounds sitting around. Are people just turning that shit into distillate, or are they just selling those for the super cheap? It's like, yo, you can get this super brown, fucking doesn't really smell like it's supposed to, fucking Girl Scout
Well,
cookies for 6 a pound if you want, but it's
I'm trying to see. I'm trying to find now. No, it's absolutely true, and I have a photo took the shop, and we won't. But I'll just show it here to Will. These are $2 grams.
wow.
They're selling up.
Oh,
We got 11%. We got a 12%, 10%, 13%, almost
Damn.
14%.
wow. So they
And
clearly priced by.
look at
Damn.
that.
So
Wow.
those are the shit
What's
packs.
the
Those are
name?
the
Yeah.
2-year-old packs
I
right
don't.
there.
But a lot of people are after
Can you
that.
see that?
A lot of people
Yeah,
are after that.
damn. Yeah, dude, I seen that in a lot of shops in Oregon for the low. You know what I
Well,
so sometimes you
people
only
buy.
have $20. You only have $20 till payday. It's like I'm gonna go and get fucking 4 grams. You know what I mean? For $20. And you see it, it's fucking garbage, but it smells like fucking
Or
Chem Dog. So I'm gonna
yeah,
fucking
but
buy
that
it
would
and
only
smoke
be
it
even
till
yeah.
Friday.
Don't even usually smell like the strain. That's
It
being
does
nice.
doesn't. That's why if the jar, if it was, I'm like, okay, I'll take that one. And the guys that always laugh at me like, you don't buy based on the strain. I'm like, fuck no, I want to smell the jar, man. Like, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let
Like I
my
know
eyes
this.
and my nose do it. I don't
Yeah.
need a
It's
number.
like everyone. It's just so crazy. Like if you really smoked weed back in the day, and this goes for like older heads like us and our age, but like there, it's like when I went to like get some good weed from my homie or my dealer, it was never like, hey, what THC is this, bro? It's like, hey, do you have anything good? You got something that smells good and tastes good, And it's just like now everyone's like the highest THC guy. That's what I go for.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're a
But
fucking
okay,
idiot.
here's
Sorry. No
here's
offense.
another.
Anyone
Yeah,
who listens to this, but if you shop by THC percentage, you have clearly not done your research about the cannabis plant or about
yeah.
uh,
Okay, so
what goes into being a really potent high, in my
here's
opinion.
another question, Sasan. Like, is there because certain times like the pack will smell good for 3 or 4 months, right? And then the smell changes a little. It's not necessarily less quality, but it's not smacking you in your face when you open it up.
If it's stored correctly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
but
we have weed in our warehouse that's 6, 7 months old, but still smells super fresh. But it's all humidity controlled in there. Like there's sensors in the warehouse, and like we try to, we're very due diligent on like how you store and keep your stuff. Now, if you do that correctly, and it's because like it's not just our product, but it's other farms' product that we're representing too. Like
yeah,
if I have KGB's Corkle that's like 30%, I'm not trying to let that go bad because that's top shelf. It's like I'm taking that in, and representing his product to the customer. Like I can't make that shit look bad.
no doubt, no doubt.
And weed will stay good if it's stored properly. Like I've had weed there was this old head, older than he was like 5 or 6 years older than me, but he would do these cedar box cures for 1 year.
Wow,
Yeah. So he would cure it in these sealed cedar boxes that he would nail shut. And
damn,
then after 1 year, he would open them.
damn,
But like the weed had this like cedar like smell like to it. Like because cedar changes after the whole thing and it dried up, but it was like super. You broke the weed up, it's all fresh, crystally.
damn.
But he did like a pound of weed like that every year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was the
Yeah.
craziest thing I'd ever seen.
Well, cause like my first experience with that, like my cuz he was out there in Eastern Oregon and he had like this pineapple chunk one year. He would always crack seeds, man. He was my hero for like 5 or 6 years. I was really like, God damn, you're the shit. And this pineapple chunk was fire, dude. Like it just smacked you in your face. And he saved a few packs and just vacuum sealed them and stashed them away. When he pulled them out, it was like 6 months later, they did not smell the same, dude. Like it was super.
Vacuum pack, I'm not a huge fan of that.
No, it wasn't, dude. And that was like, it made me want to invest in glass jars after that, like the half-gallon ones. I was at the Container Store ordering shit. Like I didn't want to vacuum seal it in plastic after that. So I was really trying to be effective because I wanted to keep it for as long as I could too. You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking getting zips,
Weed
man.
has a shelf life.
Yeah, it does, dude. It super does, you know? And like Will too, I remember at the store we had those nitrogen cans, that you can pop the top. It's like a sardine can. And we had some
Yep.
that we saved. We had a few that we saved, right? For like 2 years. And it was like Blue Dream and Girl Scout cookie. And it's like when we opened those 2-year cans, I was like super excited. And you fucking open it and look at it, and it's like, Jesus Christ,
It
man.
was
It's
it was
fucking
not the truth for
dude, it was
sure.
fucking
I
terrible.
definitely
It was
remember
Gas
fucking
out
that.
brown. Dude,
there.
it
No,
was bad. It was
unfortunately,
the
it was
worst.
I won't name it.
Yeah,
Some flour from a reputable
yeah,
farm. When you say it, John,
yeah.
right?
It was
Yeah.
bad. It was bad. It
It
was super
was it
bad. I
was
don't want to
more the
say who it was
storage
either.
Yeah.
than
Yeah. And
Mm,
so like it made me question their whole cuz dude, I was that company
exactly.
that sells the canning, I was in their inbox heavy when I was trying to get a rec license. Like I'm like, "Hey man, once I fucking get my license, I'm trying to holler at y'all, trying to lease the fucking machine." Trying
for
And then
sure.
when we opened those 2-year cans, it was damn, never mind. You
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
it just like and I didn't know if maybe the guy wasn't doing it right, injecting it with nitrogen, but I feel like it probably was done right, and it just didn't preserve in the can for 2 years.
No,
Yeah.
So,
weed should never be stored like that.
nah, dude. So I just the shelf life. What would you say, dude? Like like 6 to 9 months or something for fresh.
If you want fresh weed, 6 months. After 6 months, it starts degrading and like it starts changing its chemical compound to your THC starts changing, your CBDs, your CBNs, your CBCs, your Delta 9. They all start getting more prevalent the longer you let the THC break down.
No doubt. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so next talking point I got from you is parenting and cannabis, dude. Can we
Oh
talk
shit.
about that for a couple of minutes?
Well, yeah, we can. There's a handful of people here in Oregon. I think I do a good job of like presenting, parenting and cannabis and like normalization.
Yeah,
Like it shouldn't be like some kind of stigma, be like, oh, you smoke weed or like I work in weed.
yeah,
And I have to like I don't like wear like cannabis shirts like to my kids' school or anything like that. But having a fourth grader, it's like what does she tell her friends that her dad does?
yeah,
Because she like when I first had her, I was growing. I had a farm, but like I don't do that now, and that's another reason too that I kind of think of focus my energies on more of like a sales and a focused like career path at least in cannabis instead of trying to do all of it.
yeah,
Um, because it's hard to do that and I still find it like hard. Like I don't even like to talk to people like strangers like, hey, I sell weed because that's
yeah,
basically what it breaks down to, right?
yeah,
Just like sales
basically.
and marketing. But with being a parent too, it's like, you don't want to hide about what you do because like it's not I'm not doing anything wrong
Yeah,
necessarily. And that's kind of why I like was very adamant about, during medical until like legalization and always trying to be open about
I agree.
and I hate to use the reference because it's like two totally different worlds, but it's okay on 4th of July for everybody to have a beer in their hand. But like, God forbid we smoke a joint outside.
Yeah,
And maybe a third of those people are smoking. It's like, I mean, at least growing up in like the 90s, for me, I never saw anybody smoke pot openly, but I saw everybody drink.
yep,
Like, it was cool. Like, I don't know one between the ages 25 and 35 right now that didn't get their parents a beer at some point as a child.
Yeah.
But I would never like tell my kid to like go grab for
Nah, hell no.
me. Yeah, so it's like, hey, can you go grab me my terps in the fridge?
Yeah, nah,
It's childproof. It's cool. Just bring it to me. Give me the gram.
nah. But like, okay, so my boy's in second grade, and I always had at least 4 plants at the crib outside. And when he was 5, he would come outside, because it's like he would play with it and be like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, I'm pulling off these yellow leaves and I'm throwing them on the dirt so they can compost into the dirt and feed the plants. And he'd be like, "Can I help?" And I'd be like, "Just pull off the yellow ones if you want to help." And he liked it. He would help for like 2 minutes and then he'd go back
Yeah,
to
and then they
playing.
get distracted and do something else.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's
My
like
daughter used to
cool.
help me mix all my soil amendments, right? So
Yeah,
a lot
same
of the stuff like
thing.
before plants, but it would be like 60 bags of soil that we're like breaking down and like mixing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would buy 2 kiddie pools, and he'd be like, "Oh, man," I'm like, "This one's for dirt, like, you can have this one's for you,"
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, so I don't know,
But like
man.
that, I think that kind of stuff, like for all kind of gardening, it doesn't have to be cannabis. Like you want to make
No.
super soil, like you can grow any. You want to grow tomatoes, you want to grow wheat, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, dude, is he never and he's in second grade now, and he knows that it's not wrong, right? I might have told this story before, but there's this one time where we were watching Cops, right? And it was just me and him. We were waiting for his mom to get home from work so we could go eat dinner. There was a girl, she was like 19, 20, some little girl, she was getting arrested, and he was like playing with it and he kept looking at the screen. He's like, "Toto, what are they doing?" And I said, "They're arresting that girl. They're taking her to jail." He was like, "Why?" And I said, "Because they pulled her over and she had that plant in that baggie in her pocket." And he was just like, "What?" Like it didn't make sense to
That
him,
plant in
And
that
yeah,
baggie.
and he was like, "Well, you have those plants outside." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, she lives in a different state, I guess, where it's not legal like that. I don't know." And he at 5, it seemed wrong and incorrect to him that these cops were gonna take this girl to jail for having that plant in her
Yeah.
pocket. So it just
Just leave last time.
it would just like, man, it made me not feel guilty about having him around it because it's like, man, dude, like that's right, son.
Yeah, well, and that's good. Yeah, my oldest daughter, she just refers to them as medicine plants, but it's because I
Yeah,
had my medical card for so long,
yeah,
and that's what it was for, and then,
same. That's what I told him too. It's like
and I
it's
think if you and quite honestly, the more open your kids about the kind of that kind of stuff, and at least mine is like, you know, I'm sure one or two of them will end up being weeds. It's like my kids are never gonna drink.
yeah,
That's the same thing, but they're not gonna grow up, I think, like when I was 16 when I first smoked it, and then this whole thing went off of my oh shit, that's what my mom's been doing. I've smelled this before in my house.
yeah,
Like, but I didn't know what it was up until then, and then all these light bulbs went off. I didn't have any recollection of what it was or anything behind it.
yeah.
But the generations now see all kinds of things, like everything from magazines on people's tables to shit, those little pop top jars, I see them all over the
No doubt. Yeah, they're not childproof, man. My boy could open that shitty.
I mean, those bags of the exit bags, they're really 'cause they tell you how to. And I always let my daughter try to open my kid. She can read. And boom, she
Yeah.
can open. I'm like, yeah, it's a waste. Some turtle's
Yeah,
dying right now.
no doubt, man, for real. No.
Bigger the bag, bigger the turtle.
All right. And so the one more was talking point was being healthy, staying active and healthy while using
Oh man, that's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah.
Biggest pet peeve is people staying active and using like cannabis like that.
y-
I
Yeah.
think that is downplayed a bunch.
I
You
agree.
know, it's like I grew up playing sports and like I had never played a basketball track field, played baseball, football without getting stoned. Like I couldn't do it. I still try to go to the gym 3 or 4 and I get lit before I go, or I can't. There's no
Yeah.
way. I gotta take like 4 dabs before I go lift.
My freshman year, my homies were on C squad with me for basketball. I think Mitchell was on C squad. He used to smoke with us back. And then
Yeah, right. It's like
yeah, and then but sophomore year they started drug testing for sports. And so it's like by junior year, I was like, this isn't worth it. You know what I mean? Like I'm still on C squad and I'm not enjoying myself. And I moved to my auntie's house in Tri-Cities, Washington for that second semester. I quit hoop,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I turned in my jersey and everything. Like, fuck, sorry, fellas.
Yeah, but I still like I can't do anything. I can't go be like anything that's like gonna be active or I'm gonna be doing something like I need to be sunk. That's like my motivation.
Yeah, same, dude. Like even like on trim crew or harvesting, like taking down plants, it's like, yo, I want to smoke some sativa first and get really happy and fucking anxious and just go and tear this shit up. You know what I like?
Yeah,
I agree, man. Like I've always been an indica guy. Once I discovered the difference, because I like to chill out and relax. But I see the utility in sativas when I have to do work. You know,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I can smoke this and get down for like 4 hours, then take a
Yeah.
drink of water, you know, smoke again, and then do 4 more, and then call it a day. It's a
Yeah.
feeling. I
I
feel
like
like
to
it.
get high and run too is a good one.
Yeah, man.
Just
Hell
zone
yeah.
out.
No doubt.
I don't know if it's
Um,
zone out or more like focus. I don't know. It's like a right. It's a total line right with me when I'm like stoned and being like actually active, where I'm like focusing on doing stuff.
yeah, I agree, man. Like the first crop I was living with Jackson from Natural Wonders. The first crop we were growing out in North Plains at this collection. And I only had 6 plants, and as soon as I took them down, like, I got off work at 3 PM, I would get home at 4 and trim till 11 or 12, and then go to sleep, you know what I mean? Go to work, and then it's like, come home and do the same. I did that for, like, a week, and my lady was just like, "Jesus Christ, like, you're done with all that shit?" And I was just like, "Yeah, man," like, you know, like, it was super, super
Again,
dope to.
I hate trimming.
Me too,
So
dude, me
I
too.
applaud it. That's literally the reason why I started getting.
Y
What?
yeah,
We can just cut this down. You guys can just blast it.
yeah,
Sign
hell
me up.
yeah. No doubt, no
Sign me
doubt.
up. I'm buying freezers right now. What's this live resin you're talking about? I'm
Y
down.
yeah. Okay, so I guess the last thing you got on the talking points was, the transition from black market to medical to recreation.
Yeah,
So, dude, it's never gonna go back. Like you could go to a state that, you know, and trying to like I came to Arizona because it was still medical, but I can't cultivate unless I live 25 miles from a dispensary, which is so I I just want to come back home and grow my own weed and talk with the homies about shit that's going on because it's not the same down here. It's not as welcoming a climate.
for sure. I mean, I think it will. I think it will get there. I mean, if your passion is like to grow for fun, I think it's all right.
And
I think the black market. I mean, there was just a. I think there was just a huge bust here in Oregon. I was reading online, like some extractor in Lane County. It's like $500,000 worth of product got just seized.
oh yeah, dude, it was in a pickup truck, right?
Yeah, or
Yeah, that
something
guy,
like that.
that dude, yeah, he's a drummer in a heavy metal band, man. It was on one of my Facebook groups that they posted it. I was like, I thought that was just some guy. It's like, nah, he's a fucking drummer, man. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. And he's from the
So
East Coast somewhere, you know, and I'm like, balls. Shout out to the metal community for producing such ballsy drummers. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I
Like,
mean,
but
I don't
bummer
think
for him.
the
But
black
bummer.
market will. The black market's never going to go away. That would be dumb until every state is like producing weed like Oregon. There's always going to be a market. Oregon still has black market.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Shit,
homie, the
I'm
homie down
smoking
the
black
street
market
still
hash
has
right
ounces.
now.
Yeah, the homie down the street still has fucking ounces. You know, like it's always gonna be that thing.
Most
But
definitely.
I also I if I go into like farming again, I want to do just because it seems easier. You don't got to pretty shit up for retail. It's just volume. But I want to do breeding, man. Like when you handed me that pack of seeds, I was just like, fuck. I'm like, you just pulled it out of your backpack. I'm like, that's a super dope thing to be able to give to people. Like, dude, it just and I ran those plants outside at Sherwood in 2016, and they were dope, bro. Like, I was happy. It was the Heisman cross with something else. I can't remember the
Which
name of
one?
this. It was the Heisman cross with something else. I can't remember the name, but I remember
Was
the Heisman was one of the parents.
was it the Pug Scout?
No, no, no,
Watermelon Haze?
The
no.
Cindy's Coffee? No.
It was
I've
something
tried the Heisman before. I remember you gave me a dab.
purple. Might have been
It
in
was
the
a
name.
while,
Cause,
but
dude,
I don't
all the
remember
dogs.
cross anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have like 5 different crosses that I crossed it with.
Yeah, like it. Fuck it. It wasn't those.
What was the competition? The Dope Cup or?
Yeah, it was the dope cup. It was when I'm pretty sure Jackson and those guys had a booth in there that time too. And it was
Okay.
I don't think Sahson was maybe you had something in competition. It was just like it was weird, dude, because I was just waiting in line. It was like, shit, what's up, dude? And you want some seeds? I'm like, yes, you know, like fuck,
I did that
yes,
for a long
please.
time. I
Like,
still have seeds.
dude, yeah, it was
I still got beans. I still got Heisman seeds. I still have a bunch.
maybe it
I
was
probably
just
have
the Heisman.
5,000 seeds at home.
Maybe that's what I ran, the Heisman, that. But it was like big football fucking size purple nugs, dude. Like,
Yeah.
nice,
Also,
man.
it tasted good in extract form.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I like. Those were all those strains were for us for extract. You know, it was like, and me for a grower, I never looked at it. Okay, I have X amount of pounds. I could get this much money for flour, or I might get this much money for oil. It was like I'm growing this to produce oil.
yeah. No
I
doubt.
wanted, you know,
Yeah, one extra step to get that extra loot.
yeah.
Definitely.
It's not even about. For me, it wasn't about money. It was the end product, the quality.
Yeah, no doubt. So, like, what about the medical market, dude? Like, I'm on
That was the
OHAs,
best
dude. And
part.
well,
If you can
dude, like,
capitalize on the medical market, that's why I don't feel bad. Like that's why I'm cool with not growing. It's like in the medical side was tax free. You know, you had it was like a good healthy competition. There wasn't things like fucking stem holdings or nectar corporations like just trying to just bully things out. It's like you either had good product and you could talk your way into a shop or you didn't.
yeah,
So, I mean, Human Collective, uh,
yeah.
my grow partner did the intake stuff, my boy Toby, and my boy Lance was like a part of Human Collective. And so we just took turns doing that. I did the intake for a long time, but I started losing money because I was sitting in the fucking shop and I couldn't move my own product. I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, Lance, he was a cool cat too. I missed Denise. I didn't like Don so much. I read he got his card taken away. I guess Denise got one in court or whatever, but it's like getting him to pay up or whatever is a different.
That
Just
fool is always hard to make pay anything.
yeah, man. And it just after a couple weeks I saw what it was and I was like, that's why that guy left. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck it. Like I totally was like, fuck. And then I just started thinking the same thing. Like I need to find a place to fucking do at least 48. Just get down and make it happen, you know. So it just you were inspiration to me for real, bro.
Good, man. I'm glad. I'm glad we've been able to keep in contact and follow and do shit and watch stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And well like on the OHA thing too, it's like it's required now if you're a medical grower even for I think 6 plants, you have to get written permission from the property owner in order to cultivate.
Yeah,
So
fuck them
if
unless
you
you're a
don't own
homeowner.
yeah, so if you don't own your house, you can't grow, and I'm like, "Fuck, that is
Here's
so whack, man."
here's the thing about that is like 15 years ago, I never gave a fuck about any permission about growing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
hell no, not at all, but now it's like, "Yo, if you have
Oh,
a card and this is your
yeah.
gross, you have to turn in this." It's like they're whittling away,
Let me
making it
tell
into a
everyone
hard.
I'm growing weed.
yeah.
It's getting harder and harder to grow
How
your
many
own if
desks
you're
I
a
going
patient.
I
across?
know, right? Like it's like 30 people gonna know just for this simple obligation. Yeah, kind of ridiculous. Just I don't know. I mean, I get it. Or Oregon's trying to keep everything tight knits, but I don't know. Just like the fact that medical growers have to like report, use metric, do a bunch of shit that makes it basically like really not worth their while unless they have a ton of patience still. It's just
Yeah,
like, and I will say it, I might have said it before, but you can fuck right off to the people that kind of disguise the recreational movement as something that would protect medical, or or wouldn't even touch medical, or had no language about medical.
yeah,
I forget what his last name is, but Anthony, one of the main writers of it.
you have
uh
said that before, Will,
yep,
yeah,
Yep, and again, no fucks given. He can fuck right off. He fucked the medical community. Wrote laws against it. There's no room for this shit, and I'm not willing to let assholes like that slide.
Yeah, what do they make? They make people pay like 400 or 500 bucks now to
Yeah,
renew their card.
yeah.
dude,
And
yeah, yeah,
that whole move for him was financial. That was he went from being a medical advocate of like, yeah. I'm a patient. I've been in the industry for a bit. I've been advocating for a bit. Oh wow, you got a bit of money for me to kind of just end the medical program? Cool, I'm all in.
Cash
And that's
me out.
exactly what he did. And
Sold out.
he can fuck right off.
goddamn right, Will, goddamn
Yep.
right.
No,
Amen.
I don't hold back on this shit.
I appreciate your honesty the most, Will. It's very Katie Kane of you. Usually, I'm that asshole talking the shit. It feels
Yeah,
good, dude.
and I'll
It
admit
feels
this guy
it
is
feels good.
like I have not met this guy personally, but he's a soft person. So he's the kind of person that like he's got his Instagram, he probably wouldn't even respond to like any hatred against him. He's soft
Yeah,
because he knows that he chose, his own profits versus like doing what's right.
yeah,
He's a soft motherfucker.
yeah.
And
Un-
yeah,
unethical
um,
business practices from that
like
guy.
I've said before, I can't remember his last name.
Anthony
And
Weiner.
then yeah, Anthony Weiner. It was I don't know if that's even the name. That's probably not the name, but it was a while too. I mean, like this is like we're talking about like 2 to 3 years ago now, when it was first recreationally legalized. But he completely sold out
No
people,
doubt.
and yeah, he's an asshole. And
Word,
for that,
He probably works for a company like Kayak
I
now.
don't give a shit.
word. Yeah, the man, that's my homie Josh left Kaya Shack to grow hemp, man. I was like, good for you, dude. Um, what else do you want to talk about, Sasan? Is there any other stuff that you want to discuss? Like we reached an hour already. I don't know if you have place to go, but if you want to keep talking, please do, sir.
Oh man, no. I mean, I was actually kind of nervous just to do this. So I didn't know what I was going to talk about. You know.
Yeah,
So I'm actually pretty stoked that you guys invited me on the show. We got to chop it up. I mean, there's
yeah,
so
man.
much stuff about cannabis. I'm always learning new stuff about cannabis too, like every day.
Same. That's what I miss about being up there too. Is like the product knowledge down here, like 10% of what it is in Oregon. And I miss that sense of community where people are actually growing. People have presses at their house that they're making rosin with. You know, like homies are just doing shit and handing shit around. Like homies would give each other shit. It's like, yo, this is from this year. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Here you go. And it just that doesn't happen down here. There's not as much going on, you know. So I miss it a lot. I want to be back in the Northwest, man.
Well, hopefully 2020 we'll see you back up here.
Yeah, man, it's going down. It's going down. It was a good weekend. I'm definitely planning on Spokane. I got some seeds I want to run. Shout out to Pollination Elite Genetics, man. Super cool cat. Dude, yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about, dude? Like, now you want to wrap it up? Is that good enough? Like, are you
I
satisfied
mean,
with that? Can we have you
yeah,
back in the future to talk
yeah,
some
for sure. For sure, I'll be back in the future.
tight? Yeah, man. I feel like this was a super dope interview, and I'm glad you came on the show too,
Yeah, man.
man.
Thank you guys
Yeah,
for having
man.
me.
Thank you,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah,
Will
and
let me invade his home here.
Yes, sir.
yeah, thanks for hosting, Will. I was like,
Live
no
from
way.
Portland, you know, it's the first time we've done it.
Yeah, I
Group
was
group,
like,
group chat with the guest, or
super
like
cool.
at least the guest on one camera frame.
Well, yeah, because like that's the goal too. Is like I can be in Portland like once a month to visit my kid and everything. So
Yeah, that's why you need
hopefully
to just
hopefully
no,
we
you
can
need
we
to.
can yeah we can do it in the same place at the same time. You
Yep,
know what I
I know you're looking at Spokane, and I'm sure it's a good spot for you. I'd be stoked if you move back there, but move back to Portland, bro.
I
We'll do
like
it up.
No doubt. I
We'll make a
apply.
studio here every weekend.
I still
Fucking
apply.
go.
I still apply for jobs out there, man. Jackson tagged me in a job for Geek Farms, but it was just laboring for 14 an hour, and I'm like, I can't move back to
No,
that,
that's
man.
not. Especially
So
where they're
Hey,
located.
White Label's hiring. It's in
I'll
you know.
is it? I'll hit him up. I'll hit him up, man. Cause
Administrative assistant, and yeah, it seemed like I don't know. It seems like things that people like general cannabis experience would be
yeah,
pretty well used for it.
yeah, I got game. I got weed game and I got office game. Like I went to college and shit. I can type shit up in
Hey, though,
4 minutes.
if you want to have a serious here's cannabis jobs is if you want to take it seriously, you have to. It's more than just like knowing cannabis. Is you have to know you have to be able to follow SOPs. You got to be able to edit
Yeah,
Google spreadsheets.
yeah,
Yep.
You got to be if you want to have a job that is be able to be okay with handling cash. Like
yeah,
It,
yeah. No
there's
doubt.
all kinds of different things I think that people overlook when it comes to like working in
Yeah.
cannabis outside of being like a bud tender or like trimmer or something like entry.
And I did all that shit too for $10 an hour when it was medical, Sahson. I typed up fucking
No,
SOPs and all that shit. So that's why I'm just like, man, I need more than that. I know
for
what I'm
sure.
doing, like I remember it was D's at Natural Wonders. He was tripping because they had an inspection or something. He's like, fuck, I don't have these. Dude, I'm gonna email these to you. Just copy and paste, like read it and change whatever you need to. He was just like,
yeah.
oh fuck, thanks, man. I'm like, dude, it's all good, bro. Don't trip, man. Don't trip. It's all good. It's
Word.
yeah.
Again,
Um
thank you for having me on the show.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We appreciate it, man. Will, is there anything else that you want to add?
I think that's it.
Okay,
Covered
cool,
it.
man. I'm gonna go ahead and do my outro dance, ladies and gentlemen. This was the 29th episode of Concerned Dabs podcast. I was your host, KDM Kane. With me was my co-host, Will Turk. I gotta give a shout out to our guest, Sahson Dehkordi from Sweet Life Distro. He did an excellent job, man. It was good talking to you. We're gonna have you back in the future. Excellent interview. I'll send you the links, dude, once I got them for Spotify. YouTube will post pretty immediately, but Spotify is Tuesday, I think. I'll send it. So I also got to give a shout out to my guys in production, Mitchell Wilson and Jesse Curry. Yeah.
Mhm.
This has been a Main Node and Joseph Street Enterprise production.